Hi everyone, Joe Adams here, U.S. immigration lawyer based in Los Angeles. Today we're going to meet David Ratcliffe. Originally from a small town in the United Kingdom, he's performed with some of the biggest pop stars on the planet, and you can currently see him in the Las Vegas Strip. I can't wait for you to meet him. Here's David Ratcliffe. David, you started out in northern England. What was that like growing up as a little boy in Chorley?
Very boring. Although I didn't realize that until I left Chorley and went to London. So, no, I lived in the countryside. I grew up in the countryside around the green and the fields and the trees and all that kind of stuff. So it was very beautiful. It was very quaint. Cottages, all that kind of stuff. Not much going on in terms of anything. I'd have to venture out to maybe Manchester or to London if I wanted to do anything in forms of entertainment. But it was a really cute place. I love living there.
Were there other little kids or teachers that inspired you to become an artist? Or was it more like, dad was a coal miner, I've got to be a coal miner. Mom was a factory worker, I've got to be a factory worker.
Okay, so my mom and dad there's been nobody in my family that are in the entertainment industry except me. And I honestly do not know what sparked me to get into it. And I say I don't know, but then I also feel like maybe it was probably from like music videos and stuff like that I saw in dancing. It must have been. But no, my dad worked as an engineer. He used to be like an aerospace engineer. He designed missiles. My mom met him there. She also worked there. She called herself a trolley dolly in the UK.
A trolley dolly.
A trolley dolly, the cafeteria where she'd walk in and she'd be like, mini sandwiches.
I think a camp mother is sort of a recipe for a certain trajectory for certain men.
That's how my parents met. 3 kids, the middle child, the wild child, not so much. No, I'm the only one that ever went into it, and everything I wanted to do, my mom just was like, yeah, you can do it. You want to do it? Do it. You want to go dancing? You want to go horse riding? Did it all.
So you didn't have that like Billy Elliot background where they're saying, no, it's not going to work. It's not for you. It's for someone else.
No, my mom was never like that. And I actually just had a conversation with her recently, had a very long video conversation with her. And we were talking about all this. And she was just like, I always knew there was something about you that was just different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's like, I could tell from when you were like 2-3 years old. She's like, I just knew. And she said, you just wanted to go dancing. You wanted to do this and that. And she said, okay, you can do it. Like, go and do it. My dad, I think, was maybe a little bit more hesitant, because it's a different era. You know what I mean? Like that era of people. But also, like my mom was just very strong-headed, and she would be like, no, he's going. If he wants to go, he's going. And my dad just let it happen. My dad was very, very go with the flow as well, to be honest. There was a little bit of resistance, but
so okay, this little boy, who's this little boy that we're looking at?
That is me doing, I was probably six years old, I think, 6 or 7 years old, doing a production of Oliver Twist at my local theater production.
So did you have to be like the lead boy, or were you the tree?
No, that was one of my first ever theatrical experiences, and I was part of the chorus.
Okay.
So I think it was he's Fagin's boys, so the little boys that he had running around, all the homeless boys. I was one of them boys. And was it like those like young performances and you're like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life? I loved doing that. That was like, when I did that, I remember that feeling I had, and I was like, I didn't want it to end, and it felt like such a little family. But honestly, like I still saw all them people because it was such a small town that I lived in. Like I saw all these people all the time. And I even did like future productions, and I would, some of the adults and some of the kids would all just do the same productions together and do like other things for the community. And it was really nice.
But at some point you decided, I've got to move to the big city. And for you, that was London.
Oh yeah. That was when I was like 21 by that point. And I've been like commuting back and forth to London a lot from like leaving dance college. Even during dance college, I would commute. And then eventually my work just became increasingly more. And like people would just be like, you need to move. And I was so scared to do it. But then 2 friends of mine had a spare room, and they were like, do you want to move in with us? And I was like, time. Did it.
Right.
Packed my stuff. I literally told my mom, I was like, I just want to let you know I'm going to be moving out. And she was just like, she laughed. She was like, okay, cool. She didn't think nothing of it.
She knew it was coming.
Well, I don't think she believed it. She didn't actually believe it at first, because I just was like, I'm moving, like they've got a spare room in London. And she was like, oh, great, okay. And
So-
then the time came and she just was like,
So that's this young man? This very serious looking young
with
man.
a very blunt haircut. Yeah, that was me.
That's when that comes about.
21,
very serious. 21.
20. Actually, I think I was probably like 22, 23 there. Not that that's much difference, but
so you're young, you're broke, you're in London, you're living 3 or 4 or 5 to a room.
I saved £5,000. No, I didn't. Yes, I did. No, that was when I moved to LA. I don't know how much money I had saved, actually. I'd saved quite a bit because I just shot a movie. Got lucky and before I moved, I shot a movie for Jack Black was in it. It was Emily Blunt and some other people. What was the movie called?
Oh gosh, I don't know. That's too long ago.
I can't remember. It was years ago. I forgot the name of the movie. It'll come to me. There was like a bunch of dancers. We went to London and we shot this movie for a week. And I saved all this money from it. And I was like, there it is. And I was working part-time at home for a local family business doing functions. And I saved all this money and I was like, I'm gonna have to move. And then the time came and I saved all this money and I was like, right, I'm just gonna go. I don't have a job lined up. I'm gonna move to London and just see what happens.
So did the work come quickly, or did you, I imagine you were like jobbing during this time, trying to make ends meet?
So I moved to London. My dad drove me down there himself to London I think it was like July of 2009. I was barely 21, moved to London. Throughout the summer, I ended up just going to dance classes because I was like, I need to meet people in my profession that I want to do. I'd already worked a little bit, so people knew who I was, some people. So I went and I just took dance classes and went to auditions. And then I think what really started it was when the X Factor came around. The X Factor was, I think it's still on. I think it could be.
Still around, yeah.
The X Factor was like the biggest TV show and still is the biggest TV show for dancers to perform on. And I remember auditioning for it a year or so before that, and maybe 2 years before that. And I was still in college and I was still really young. And it was really intense. And I was like, straight out the door, they kicked me out. And I was like, okay, so that's that. I was like, good to know. So then I went back and I auditioned for it again when I moved to London, and they were like, great. So that was that. And then they booked me for that. And that was kind of where everything kicked off. Then it was like September, October of 2009. And then from then on, the work, like after that, it was like from X Factor, it was the Brit Awards we ended up doing like we have a huge TV show in the awards show in the UK called the National Television Awards. And then just like a bunch of other stuff from there. Like it kind of just snowballed everything.
What was the first time that you kind of realized, hey, this is actually really working and I could actually really do this? I could really make my life, my living, pay my bills as a working dancer?
I think when I started doing the X Factor.
Yeah.
I did that. Yeah. And then I got asked to do other work. They were like, are you free for this? And I was like, yeah. And then that happened. And then it just like another thing happened and another thing. And I was like, oh, I don't have to get a regular job. I can get dance work, and albeit the paychecks came in as and when they felt fit to pay us, which was unfortunate, but it was kind of just a way of like figuring out how to manage your money, I guess, and not go blowing it all on everything and nothing in London. But I made it work. I made it work, and it was, it just kind of happened. I don't know. For me, everything that I've always done has just always worked out, which I'm very, very grateful for.
What was the first time you met like a celebrity that you had looked up to as a kid or idolized as a young person? And you're like, wow, I'm actually working alongside this person. Who was the first one? Do you remember?
I want to say Kylie Minogue.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Kylie Minogue was one of the first people that was 2010. That was the year after I moved to London. She was doing her Aphrodite album promo before she went on a world tour. And I got involved with that. Got very lucky to got asked to be involved with that. And it was like big choreographer from the US. It was the best of the best I was working with, and it was Kylie, and it was a budget. It was a good budget, a huge budget for Kylie Minogue. And it just, I was like, everybody wants to feel like they belong somewhere. And like I did that, and it like I was like, this feels like the career that I wanted.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. And she is, I always say it to this day, Kylie Minogue is one of the most incredible people to work for. She's probably been one of my favorites ever to work for.
Is there anything that she said to you or communicated to the team and that's lasted with you? I mean, she's someone who has endured sickness, relationships, ups and downs in her careers, and she's just endured for decades.
She was just really kind and really sweet. And she would come in, we'd rehearse all day, and she'd come in and see what we've been doing, and then we'd slot her in the production, whatever we've been doing. But she just always had a smile on her face. She was always just like so happy with everything that had been done.
Yeah.
And you just wanted to, for me, like, and every dancer really that does that, you wanna work hard and you want to make it look as incredible as possible, and you want to please them, and you want to make them happy because it's their show at the end of the day. And it's just like, she was just her energy, like she just would sit and she would just have the biggest smile on her face, and I was like, I like her.
Yeah,
she's nice, and she took really good care of us.
Yeah, the
production, the team, they all took really good care of us, and I loved it. And I'm like, you don't unfortunately get that as often as you would hope in the dance industry, and it was one of them jobs for me that I was like, this is something that I would like, if it's not just Kylie, other people, I would love this level of production and respect, the same that we give to them,
And then at some point you decided, hey, I want to make the big move across the ocean. we're not moving down the island, we're moving across the sea.
Some people would probably some people just, I'd barely been in London for like 4 years. And I didn't realize that I wanted to do this. Well, that's a lie. I knew I wanted to work in America because the amount of friends that I'd made and connections that from people that would come on world tours to the UK, and I would, I'd take the classes that they would teach, and we'd all hang out, and, and I'd speak to them and see what they're doing, and the elevated level of the industry that they were in. And I was like, that's what I want to do. And I'm like, you don't get world tours in the UK. You don't get these huge budget productions like they had. And I was like, I need to do that. And honestly, I really never figured out and put much thought into how to do it. I just knew I wanted to do it. And my best friend that I was living with at the time, he was the one that kind of was like the catalyst of doing that. He was the one that he came to me and was like, I'm going to move to LA. And I was like, oh. He was like, you can really just do it just like that. I was like, it's just that simple, but not, And then I was like, I'm going to look into this too. And I'd always wanted to go to LA and travel there and check it out. Dancers do that from London. They always go over there and take classes and, to meet people and, have fun. And I did that. And I was just like, as soon as I got there, the first day that I moved there,
Here.
Yes. Here we are. This place. I got off the plane and I started going around town and checking out the sites and everything. I was like, this is it. And also crashed an audition, and I was just like, this is definitely the one.
So you came over on an O1 visa, but before then, had you ever even been to the States? Have you ever
that was before that. I came for 2 months. I was supposed to come for 4 or 5 weeks, and I ended up staying for 2 months. I extended my trip. I kind of put into place to have meetings with agents, and a choreographer actually was he kind of under the radar told me that there was going to be an audition for Taylor Swift's world tour, her Red tour, I think it was. And he was like, you should just go. And I was like, all right, cool. With all this confidence. So I was like, I don't care. I'm just going to go in there and say, hi, this is who I am, show them what I got. And very close, but didn't happen. But also that was another thing, another step that I was just like, I'm coming doing this.
And I've got to ask you about this hair. I mean, this hair is outrageous.
This was a choice. It was a choice, let me tell you. 19 years old. You want to see it before that. Before it was curly like that, that's my hair naturally. So my hair naturally is curly. My mom has got she got curly hair going on. Before that, when I was in dance college, I used to go in there every morning. I'd get up before school, before dance college, and I would get the straighteners out and I would sit on the corner of the chair. I would straighten that hair, and I would make sure it was swept over, and it was just a choice. And
that is a 2010's choice.
It was 2007.
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
It was. And I would rock up to college, and I would go into ballet class, and I'd be in ballet class for 2 hours every morning, Monday through Friday, and I would come out and it'd go like this.
Amazing.
I don't know why I bothered doing it, to be honest. And then I kind of saw the light, finally.
So you hopped off the plane at LAX,
just like Miley did,
and you did sort of the preparation trip. and
Yes.
then you got your O1 visa sorted back home. And then you came to the States and you started working right away and you got busy right away.
Sure did.
Yeah.
Did all that preparation stuff, met an agent, and I was just like, hi. I was like, you don't know me. I was like, I just went to an audition. And I was like, I just figured I'd come and see you guys because I got a call back, and they were like, yeah, we'd love to see you. Like, please come in. And went in, and they were like, we want to sign you. And I was like, okay, let's just do it.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't care to go and shop around. I was like, let me just do it. I was like, these are great guys and girls, and they helped me through the process. And whilst I was also in LA, I was staying at a friend's place and also working on my visa at the time. I spent the entire time like daily working on it and made sure it was done before I.
Yeah, it's like a part-time job, really.
Oh yeah, it was an absolute part-time job. And like I was like, I need to do this. So I sat and I did it for the remainder of the time I was there, you know.
And then sure enough, shortly thereafter.
This is another job. This is another one that I would like, you'd be like, is there anybody that you would want to work with again? Ariana Grande.
Yeah. Absolute pro. And I just rewatched that show, and it's just it's so much fun.
Do you know what else has been interesting is that a lot of my jobs that I have booked, a lot of big jobs like that, like huge jobs that for me especially have been direct booking. I've not had to audition for them, which is great, like, because nobody loves going to an audition all day.
Right.
But that, especially an email from my agent, they're looking to see if you're available. Can you send us a headshot and a body shot? See what, you know, and I said, yeah, cool, did that. And then it was straight booking.
And then at some point, you and I had a conversation and you decided, hey, this is really working out. And I don't want to be on a visa that only has a fixed period. I want to be a permanent resident. I want to get my green card. What was kind of going through your mind? What was like weighing on your mind to make that decision? That's a big deal.
A lot of it, to be honest, was because I would be in and out the country a lot on a work visa. And I just always felt this pressure every time I would come back into the US. You walk through security and you almost don't feel welcome a little bit. They're very difficult to speak to, and you know that they ask you a million questions. It makes you honestly feel like you don't belong there. Even though I was like, I'm staying here, you know. They ask you so many questions, and I'd be so nervous going through, and I was just like, I don't want to feel like this anymore. Like, and I also don't want to I don't want to feel like I have a time limit on what I'm doing here, you know. And that was one of the big things. It was a lot, and most of it was like this feeling of like, I've only got a few years on this visa, and I've got to make everything work, and I can't waste any of my time. And that was one of the big things.
Refresh my recollection, because it's been a few years. You had one O1 visa.
I had two
O1 visas.
I had one that was unfortunately
with a prior representative, and then one with me, and then we went for your green card.
No, I had two. The two of them was through the prior representative. The first one was for a year. Should have been 3, but it was only a year, unfortunately. So I had to go back and renew that one, which ended up being for about 3 years.
Yeah.
And then that's when I came to you.
Right. That was some time ago.
Yeah.
Because
about the green card.
Because you did get your green card.
With the blonde hair.
And I
always regret, like, you know, like I'm like, all the things you gotta have like blonde hair with the roots coming out, and it doesn't look.
But that's the important thing. Resident since April 2018.
You know how much of a sense of relief that was when I saw that? And I was like, I've got all that time and I can just like relax.
Giving those phone calls are like, it's like really the best part of my job.
I think it was, I got a phone call and it was like, you see, green card's been approved anyway, congrats. And I was like, wait, what? So we're just gonna send you over some stuff to sign. That's it, cool, fine. Like, we'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
That's it, bye. No big deal. Just, you know, major life accomplishment.
Huge. So then you get your green card, and since that time you've been really focused with a particular organization. Tell us about Work the World.
Well, I actually found out about my green card whilst I was doing, I'm going to plug all the jobs, whilst I was doing Dancing with the Stars.
There we go.
Dancing with the Stars I was doing, and then I got a phone call about the green card, and I walked in there with a big old smile on my face. I was like, well, I'm staying here. But yes, I have been working with a specific production since the end of 2017. It's been 4.5 years now, I think, nearly 5 years. RuPaul's Drag Race.
Work the World.
Work the World Tour, the official RuPaul's Drag Race
Pit
tour.
crew.
The Pit Crew.
Pit crew.
Official
Pit crew.
Which also then, you know, I spent a few years touring. I must have toured the world, traveled the world 3 times over, I think, but then we did production after production after production, you know, different themes and different drag queens. And I was almost so close to not even doing that job. That was another thing as well that I got asked directly by a friend of mine who was choreographing it in the beginning. He just basically came to me and he said, do you want to come on tour? And I was like, yeah, maybe. I was like, for what? And he was like, just to work the world. And I was like, oh God, drag queens. I was like, okay, maybe, yeah. And kind of just went with it. And you know, I was like, let me just go and see what this is about. Because at the time I was also, you know, go-go dancing on the side at the Abbey to make some extra money. And I was really over that. And I decided, you know what, I'm either going to do this and go on tour and make better money and you know, and travel and do all that kind of stuff and see the world, or I'm going to say no and be stuck here and who knows what I'll end up doing.
Yeah.
And I just kind of you know, put the kind of fear aside a little bit of the unknown. And I was like, all right, let's just go and do it. So I went and like, the tour started off as like a small production. It was clubs and it was small theaters, you know, and as it progressed and it got more and more popular, it went on to larger theater venues, and now they're doing arenas.
Yeah, and now you're resident in Las Vegas.
Yeah, which also then led to, you know, post-pandemic, them reopening the RuPaul's Drag Race Live, the Vegas residency at Flamingo, and them asking if I was interested in going to that, because at this point, I think after like, you know, we'd still been doing stuff through the pandemic. We'd been doing outdoor like drive-in shows.
Yeah.
And I was so exhausted from it. I was just, you know, I just needed a break from traveling. As much as I loved it, I was like, you know, it's not going to be forever, but I just need to like take a step back. And they said, well, you want to go to Vegas? And that was another one that I nearly said no to as well, because I wasn't sure about how I felt living in Vegas. And I just, you know, I was like, just go and do it. It's not going to be forever, and it'll be great. You know, it'll be a great place to just be grounded for a while and to have some routine, and also just focus on other stuff, because I'm not going to dance forever. Let's be honest. I'm 34 years old now, you know, and I also don't want to dance forever. I love my legs and I love my knees and my hips, and
a lot of dancers become choreographers, creative directors.
Yeah. There's that, just anything else in the entertainment field, really. And I was like, yeah, let's just do it. And honestly, like, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. Like, I've really loved it. It's been such a great production. It's been, again, another elevated, just it's a Vegas headlining show, you know. And the guys that I work with, the dancers, I love them all to death. They're so amazing. The production, everybody involved, it's just been so great.
So RuPaul's Drag Race, Work the World, live at the Flamingo, most nights of the week. Check David out. But the other big news, you said you didn't plan to move to Vegas, but then you did something today, which kind of, can you tell our audience, what did you do today?
I decided to be an adult, okay? That's what I decided to do. I decided to be a grown adult, and I bought a property.
Bought a house. We've got David, the boy from Chorley, who went to London, who made the big leap to the States, who's now a homeowner in Las Vegas, with a residency.
I always I said to my friends, I'm like, I go, hey, I say what? I said, I'm a homeowner.
You got a homeowner. You have a dog who's been running around with my dog.
Yes,
this entire interview.
There was a lot of things I wanted to do. I said, look, if I'm going to Vegas, there's going to be some things I want to do, and I want to buy property because I have friends that have done it, and I felt so inspired to do it. And I was like, I love property. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I want to get into that. I also want to get a dog. I've been wanting to get a dog for a long time. I got the sweetest little, cutest little dog.
Who's a puppy who's chasing my 10-year-old dog up this couch.
I have an 8-month-old mutt, little
oh my god,
handful of a thing. And he's great. And hey, get down. And I actually started doing vocal lessons.
Yeah.
Something that I wanted to do for a long time that I was scared to do. So I've been doing that, and also going to get into like acting and stuff like that as well, because I want to branch out and see where that could take me as well, possibly. So Vegas has been good for me in that sense, because I don't see it as like a forever home. I see it as an investment.
Yeah.
An investment in property, investment in myself, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it for what it is, for what it's given to me so far.
So to wrap up, like if you had a time machine and could talk to that little kid who was loving being on stage in Northern England, what would you tell him?
I'd be saying, yo, boy, you are going to go on a journey like no other. Like, God, I honestly don't know what I would say. I'd just be like, you know what? Lose the fear, let it all go, and just say yes. Like, just embrace the unknown, because that is literally what it has been. My career has been about the unknown. Like, I never knew what was coming next. I never knew what to expect, and it all just kind of unfolded, and it all really worked out well for me. And I'm really, I don't say this very often, but I'm also very proud of myself.
Yeah,
like I took a big step doing some of the stuff that I did, even just moving to London, because like I lived in a small town, I grew up there, and people, you know, people stay there, they live there like they do anywhere. Yeah. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to move, and I wanted big things for myself. And, you know, I wanted a fun life, and I wanted to go out and enjoy the world and explore. And I did it. And I'm still doing it.
That's fab. David, thank you so much for joining us.
Joe, thank you.
I'm going to put all of the links to David's socials and all that, so you can get in touch with him and see what he does and keep track of him. He's hysterically funny. His lives are amazing. And I can't say enough about him. He's a client who's become a friend, who's become just like one of my besties.
And I would also like to say, get yourself involved with Joe Adams. He's the best of the best. Brilliant.
We're going to cut that part.
Yeah, we're going to cut that part. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed that interview. We always learn something new from each of these different stories. If you'd like to learn more, I've written a book called Extraordinary Aliens, 12 People Who Pursued Wealth, Fame, and the American Dream. It's available on Amazon, so check it out.